Guys, it's Charmaine. Welcome to the Cluttered Garden. We are going to continue with the garden tour in the backyard garden. So let's get started. Okay, let's get started here. This is right at the front, at the back gate, excuse me, when I'm coming into the backyard. And at one point, I did have 5 of these white containers with potatoes in them, but I harvested 2 of them out, so just 3 remain. Behind these potatoes, see if I can get a better picture here. There is that, it is an aquarium. All I did was break the bottom out of that, put some dirt in there, and I planted some garlic in there, a couple of leftover fava beans, and as you can also see, there are some raspberry canes that have grown up through the bottom of that thing. Over here, I have 3 containers of garlic that I still need to harvest. I had completely forgotten about these. But I need to go ahead, A, harvest the scapes, and then B, harvest the garlic. And I'll probably do that sometime this week. Okay, so this is my shame section right here. I had this section of garden. It has, I don't even think you can see it with all the weeds, but it has 3 raised beds. 2 of them are cinder block raised beds. And it has just been taken over by weeds, raspberry canes that have spread. I do have quite a few raspberries I need to harvest from here. And then besides the raspberry and weeds, there was quite a bit of borage in here. Sorry about the train in the background, guys. That is just part of life living around here. And then this massive jungle right here, those are all, well, this one is fall gold raspberries, which I have quite a bit to harvest, and then another type over there. And then a couple of containers that are just full of weeds and need to be emptied out. This bed. There's a lot of work to do back here, but I have the time now. The motivation and the energy to do this part, man, I just look at this section of the garden and I get a little bit overwhelmed. So I just need to come in, chop it all back, pull the weeds, and I really do want to restructure this whole space. Right in front of my shame section, I have these 2 empty containers right here that I am going to put some plants in that were just left over and I need to get planted. I have this one that just needs to go in the garbage, but this one here, I had some leftover fava beans that are in there. It looks like there's a weed in the back there as well. I had a leftover artichoke plant. There's some multi-sown onions buried in there somewhere, and some potatoes that were planted in there a couple of years ago. You know, once you put them in there once, they're in there forever. Directly across from that, I have this container that has potatoes and some multi-sown onions in there. Lots of weeds, guys. Lots of weeds. This is real life right here. This is my killer tomato. Now, this is just a classic example of me not reading the description before I hit buy. But let's see if I can get a better view for you. Do you see? I don't know if you guys can see the thorns. It is so bright out here. But look at this. Look at this alien fruit right here. So these little flowers drop off and then they turn into that alien fruit right there. And then supposedly this is a husk type of tomato. And so it'll have husks similar to a tomatillo. But of course, as you can see, the husks are going to have thorns on them as well. So I may not plant this one ever again, but I had 2 of these seedlings that germinated this year. So I went ahead and planted them both in the same container. We'll see how it goes. Now, before we go too far, I'll just show you this. I have these vertical planters here. I love them so much. So much. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and they all have onions. The one on the end right here does have herbs at the top, but all of the rest of them have onions in them. I did have radishes in there as well. It was my best radish year I've ever experienced. However, I also came to realize that I don't know that I really like radishes that much. So, yeah, I think I'm just going to pickle them and go from there. But let's go through these tomatoes that I have planted in the front here. I have several containers. This one is an orange accordion. I did do some pruning at the very bottom, but it's still pretty wild in there. And I did use these cheap tomato cages. I do have these on all of the tomatoes this year. I really would have preferred to use something else, but money is just not in abundance right now. So this tomato is a big rainbow. And this one here is another big rainbow. It was in the same planting cell and it was weakly looking and sick, and I thought it was just going to die, but it's like, no, don't discount me. Here, next to it, this one is an alpaca tomato right here. So, we'll see how this one does. I have 2 of these growing. The other one I planted out way late. So it's not as big, but it's good to know about the size that they're gonna get. This one right here is a tropical sunset. It is the second one that I have. There's another one of these up front as well. I did have garlic in these beds that are empty. I am going to refresh them and put some excess plants that I still have yet to put in the ground. In this container, don't ask me what caused me to put 2 tomatoes in this container, but I did. One is a Thorburns terracotta. I've had this seed for many years and it germinated. I hadn't been able to get like a fully ripe specimen off of it last year or the year before. So I'm really looking forward to it this year. It does need, both of these tomatoes are going to need more support. The second one is a Nova tomato. I thought I had a Nova somewhere else as well, but I'm not sure I do. This tomato right here is an Alice's Dream. I have another one of these up front. And then that squash right there in front, I just stuck in there. That's an angel hair. So we'll see how it does. I'm definitely going to have to be on top of my feeding and watering game. Back here, over here we have another alpaca tomato and a chiffon squash up right there too. So these were planted out a little bit late, so they're just getting going. And we'll just step right on in here. I have another 3-tier vertical planter. It did have nothing but eggplants at one point, but some of those eggplant did not make it. So I put some shallots and leftover onions that I had in there. Now next to it in this little section that looks like it's just weeds. It's weeds. And then in the front, these are spent lupins that I have been spraying because, of course, the aphids absolutely love them. Behind them are some foxgloves that haven't really done much yet. And then another container with lupins behind that. That's just starting to. I don't know if you can see that green back there, but those are just starting to come into fullness. Right next to it, right here, is another fall gold raspberry that I didn't have any place else to put, so I put it there, and it's been doing lovely. And then this, what do you call this? Trellis is definitely not doing much for me. Right here, I have a zucchino rampicante. I'm just going to let trail along the ground here, and also a sweetheart cherry tomato. So I have this section of containers that I need to go through, clean and organize and get rid of any damaged ones. And then this is just an old chicken water I had. I was going to switch it out and make that blue one a waterer instead. But we'll see if I do that. I think I'm going to need a couple more of those poultry nibbles in order to make that happen. Over here, I have a container, a variety of potatoes in this container. Here I have some purple potatoes I had gotten from someone, and I liked them so much I decided to save some to grow, and they are coming along nicely and flowering. This container has, Cherokee purple tomato is in there, and it is doing very well. Here is definitely a fail. I had in this container here, I had ginger right there. It's definitely not doing anything, so I'll just have to try that again next year. And this one had turmeric. Again, not doing anything. I'm just gonna have to try again next year. This little 5-gallon container has some horehounds, some chives, and some, of course, borage. I have borage everywhere, but also some peppermint chard. Right in front of me is a container that has some favas. It has some, what are those? Nasturtiums. It did have some regular peas at one point, but no longer, and lots of weeds and aphids because they love those things. Now, I'm going to show you my messy back deck that needs some cleaning, a lot of cleaning and organizing. And hopefully my mom is going to help me get that done. But anyway, I'm going to show it to you. It's embarrassing, but here it is. Well, first I'm going to show you this spearmint, which I love. This container, I just emptied it out. It had some onions or not onions, but potatoes I planted in there 4 years ago, I think. A lots of peas. My peas were in here. Those are sweet peas that are trying to cling to life, but they are pretty much dead. I might just rip those out. I'm not sure what I'm going to put into this container, but we'll see. This one did have some alliums, but now it has one dried up allium and some weeds. So I will have to empty that out. It's just an old dog food container. This right here is just my little cat house. He's an outdoor kitty now. I also have this container here with a bunch of herbs. There's some horehound and also some pansies. And looks like some thyme, some, what do you call that? Asparagus is in there as well. So we'll see how that goes. Over here, we have some lavender that I grew from seed. And lots more containers that I need to go through and clean out so that I can use them at the end of this, towards the end of this year for fall and winter gardening, and also for next year. That is an orange accordion that I just need to, right here, that I just need to get planted somewhere. And then this raised bed right here, it's a metal raised bed. I have put salad greens in here. I have some chives, some sorrel, some kale that all needs to come out. I have some lettuce. The lettuce is, looking a little worse for the wear, except for this freckled lettuce over here. This stuff is still looking pretty good, but I think what I'm going to do is take all of this out. I have other lettuce to replace it. This Merlot is still looking wonderful. Chives are still looking wonderful. This mint that I put in here was because I wanted it to spread, and it is doing its thing. It is strawberry mint, which I absolutely love the smell of. And I got one little peppermint chard here. I will say that these are very convenient to have because you don't have to bend over and all that kind of stuff, but they are extremely difficult to keep watered. Over here, I have these Dollar Tree planters. I hadn't used them since last year. So right now they just have weeds and things like that in them. Here I had garlic in and I pulled that out. So I'm going to put something else in there. I have leftover tomatoes that need to get planted somewhere. Let's see. This container right down here has blackberries, and I'll get you a closer view of that in a little bit. But these two containers here, I planted carrots into. I thought the carrots had died and didn't survive, so I planted celery in this one, celeriac in this one, and then of course, like magic, the carrots started to come up. All right, right here I have a stock tank with, right now it's got a bunch of herbs the last couple of years. Herbs, and then there's strawberries hiding in there as well. Right in front of that is a little container that has some heuchera and some strawberries that have just decided this is their home. And then right back here, I have what I call my DIY cold frame. It is, as you can see, just a wire shelving unit that I have covered with this greenhouse plastic. It works beautifully to keep things from freezing in the spring and also the late fall or early fall. So I do have some leftover plants that I need to do something with. This tomatillo, guys, is living its best life. I don't even understand how it is over here forming fruit. Like there's fruit in there. And then this is my garlic that is drying. Let me scoot that over. It's drying. I had originally kept them separate. You can see that. I had kept them separate so I could determine which type is which, but they're all mixed up now. So right here, I have a box of just leftover plants that I was going to give to one of my girlfriends, but our schedules just never have aligned. And so I think for the ones that are still surviving, and look at this one's like producing fruit, and it's in these little solo cups in there. And I think for the ones that are still alive, I am just going to plant them out now that I have room since the garlic is finished. Okay, back down here on the other side, I have blackberries. This is a thornless variety. There are 2 plants in this container, and this trellis, initially was all beautiful, straight, etc. Now it's like I've given up. So I'm a little reluctant to move it too much at this point. I might just leave it, and then once I harvest the blackberries, then I'll just cut everything back and figure out something else for next year. Right here's my last vertical gardener in this that I need to fill up and put back in the chicken coop. That's their secondary feeder. But this one, the bottom two rows, I have squash, 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 and more squash in those bottom two rows, and they seem to be doing okay. In that third tier, I have potatoes. I put one seed potato in each pocket, and again, these are doing really well. In the next tier up, mostly, I think all are cucumbers of different varieties. I did have to reseed some of these cucumbers because they looked like they were going to die, and some of them did die off, but like this one I thought was a goner, but it seems to be doing okay. And so a lot of my cucumber seeds were really old, so I planted extras of them, and it seems like even my super old seeds have germinated. So for now, I'm just going to leave them, and then we'll see how it goes. Up here I have, on the top tier, I have some Casper eggplants that are living their best life. And then some leftover onions. This plant right here is called a celtus. I got that from Johnny's seed. We'll see how it does. There's also a couple of cucumbers in here. When when the celtus is much smaller, I didn't know how big it was going to get. This is feverfew right here. And then this is an Isis candy. I thought I had another Isis candy somewhere else. It is, as you can see, producing, or can you see? Sorry, it is really bright, but it is producing some tomatoes. I did go in and prune this back a little bit, so it wasn't as out of control, but it's still out of control. I think what I'm going to do is let it go ahead and drape down, and then I think I might wrap it around this support right here. So that is that. Here is a view from the back side. With this one has the celery, which is definitely overheating in here. It's got a pink celery and a white celery. This is just a leftover Cosmo from last year. Those things, they were blooming when it was really cold out here. I was kind of surprised. In here, I have carrots, and I think that's a celery seed, and then some celeriac in there. I've never grown celeriac. This is my first year, so we'll see how that goes. And this is just the back side of that stock tank right here. So guys, that is it for my gardening space here. I am gardening off of the western coast of Washington State in zone 8B. I think I forgot to mention that at first. And I've been growing in this garden for at least 13, 14 years or so. I've been growing here. And I love it. My garden continues to expand. I continue to learn things every single year. And my goal is to use a lot of this, as much of the space as possible for gardening and growing things, so that I know I can't be completely self-sufficient, but I would like to be more sufficient and depend less on the grocery store, if at all possible. So I do have some plans for the garden over the next coming season and next several years. But we will see how they go, and I will take you along I will take you along on that journey with me. Let me know where you are growing from, what things you have going on in the garden. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments box below and I will get back to you. Thank you so much for watching. Be blessed.